Hi, my name is Paulette, and I present my last Hito evaluativo, Hito number 3, which is correlated to the needs analysis we made in the context of our professional practice. First, let me give you some contextual factors. The school in which I did my practice this semester is Liceo Antonio Salamanca Morales, which is in Coronel, with an approximate index of vulnerability of 95% according to the school educative program. The school has a total of 1,600 students, which are distributed on 6 levels. First, one seventh grade, one eighth grade, 10 first, second, and third and fourth grades. And the school has 3 floors, a library, 2 computer labs, and an English lab with computers as well. The classrooms have a projector as well as an integrated speaker to it, and they don't have internet connection in the classrooms. The class I chose to plan the unit for was second grade A, which was the class with whom I shared the most hours with. At first, they were quite shy, but they were still very friendly and amiable with me. And because of that, I felt more comfortable asking them to actively participate in my learning. Their English level was around an A1 or A2, and regarding how they interacted with each other, I can say that they were very used to only talking to their close friend group, which left outside of the picture any type of bigger group interactions I would like to include. And furthermore, their head teacher did comment to me that they were struggling with their relations outside of their immediate friend group and even within their friend group. Um, and regarding students with special needs, I only had one autistic student, which was who was high functioning, so it was not hard to cater to their needs. Besides, they had a really good English level. Now, for identifying their learners' needs. For the needs analysis, I asked both personal questions, such as their preferred activities, as well as academic questions, like their favorite subject at school or their learning styles. Some other information I thought would be useful to have was if they thought English was important or if it would be useful for their future. Looking at their answers to the questions right here on the screen, I learned that not all had a reliable internet connection because most of them had to answer the questionnaire in groups. So I had to kind of uh, just look at everyone's responses as a group. Additionally, thanks to these specific questions, I was able to gather their learning styles and that they were spread among all the ones I presented because all of them were mentioned at least once by the class. And regarding whether they saw English as an important tool for their future, most of them agreed that it was relevant for traveling purposes or other purposes aside from the academic. And only one of the groups concluded that English was not important for them nor their future. For the activities, most students said that they would enjoy more listening activities like watching videos or movies and listening to music in order to get the exposure they need from the language. And in relation to that, students stated that their weakest skill was speaking and their strongest one was listening, even though that was not necessarily their most practiced skill. For the alignment with the course objectives, I used these 5 objectives for the unit. The first one was that they would be able to analyze their communication preferences, then that they will able to criticize some means of communication, then they should be able to produce a written script for an oral presentation about means of communication, and they would have to create a model on the 4th week of class, and then on the 5th week they would have to explain the history behind that mean of communication. Now, from what I saw in the results of the needs assessment, students lacked speaking skills, like the ability to talk in front of their classmates, as well as the ability to work in groups outside of their comfort circle. That's why I felt the need to include a lot of teamwork in the unit plan, That way, students needed to talk both while doing their project and while actually presenting. And I think that them talking while doing the project actually took a little bit of stress off of them because it wasn't important and it wasn't graded, so they were more likely to speak. And I started the unit with a listening activity because I wanted to boost their confidence and engagement in the class with an activity that was more on their stronger side. Now, since I learned about their learning preferences, I implemented multimodal instructions in order to cater to individual intelligences, meaning that I expressed instructions in both oral and written ways for the whole group, as well as individually for those who had trouble concentrating or maybe they wore noise canceling headphones. So I did that. And I also tried to incorporate as many of the activities they suggested as possible. That is why I included a more artistic approach per se to their task, while also incorporating other more traditional rules for the students who are not into arts, but rather they like presenting, writing, and speaking. Moreover, there was a certain flexibility when it came to the number of students allowed per group, and as long as they did not go over or under the limit, it was okay. Now, certain students with different abilities or needs were given the opportunity to work either individually or in groups. I did not want to force them to work either way, so they had the choice. Regarding the adjustments made to ensure an accessible lesson, I followed the Universal Design for Learning, which included as many types of instructional strategies as possible. I also tried to move my hands a lot to draw attention to the students, and I provided, as I said, both oral and written directions. Plus, I tried to include different types of content driven exposure, like videos, readings, images, magazines, all that. Now, thanks to the needs analysis, students were able to assess their own knowledge of their learning at the beginning of the period, as well as what they found most challenging. Now, at the end of the questionnaire, we analyzed the results together with the whole class, and so they were aware of their own answers and their classmates' answers, so they could provide a reasonable assessment in the future. Further, I knew most of them through their thought their receptive skills were at least good, which meant that I could make use of basic English when I could. So while others were working on their script for the presentation, I called some representatives, one or two, for each group to show me what they had been working on, and I gave them feedback on the script. I gave them feedback in English for those who seemed capable of understanding English only, and those who seemed to struggle a bit, I did use Spanglish. But at the end, I tried to incorporate feedback for students in every part of the unit, from me and from their peers as well. In the questionnaire, I asked students about their religion, their place of birth, and their age group in order to respect their beliefs and their likes according to said characteristics, so as to help create a more inclusive and respectful learning environment, which could help foster better engagement and understanding among students from different cultural backgrounds. I also tried to include a wide range of music to the class playlists, which was played while students were working independently. And as for the linguistic factor, I tried to pay plenty of attention to the skills they found hardest and easiest in order to introduce more activities for the first and continue reinforcing the latter. Furthermore, due to their English level, I tried to focus on meaning rather than form for productive activities because my idea was not that they used English perfectly, but rather that they became confident enough to even attempt to produce English sentences. Um, Now, for addressing their needs, I found that my focus on improving speaking fluency, class relations, and students' confidence in to speak in this unit, which was number 4, was quite successful. Students demonstrated clear progress during the final group presentation, with many using the vocabulary we had learned about means of communication, and showing more confidence in speaking. For example, during the debate exercise for the second week of class, students were more confident and they were able to express themselves using mostly proper sentences and structures. However, I did notice that a few students still struggled with pronunciation, particularly the ones that already struggled with the subject more than others. But overall, I thought that based on the assessment results on the final week and class participation, I feel that the majority of the learners' needs were effectively addressed. Now, for my future changes and improvement, based on the feedback from students and my own observations, I would make a few adjustments in future lessons. For instance, several students mentioned that the pacing of the final task felt kind of rushed, so I would try to allocate more time for them to practice speaking or, well, the activity that they have to do in the future, especially after giving them feedback, because that way they can actually take it in and then reproduce it back. So that would I do. Additionally, I would like to offer more differentiated activities to cater to different levels of proficiency in the class, because a few students with a higher level of English get bored when they quickly finish an activity that may take them 5 minutes and it takes their classmates an extra 5 minutes or even 10 minutes to complete. But overall, these changes would help ensure that students are better supported and can engage with the content more effectively. That would conclude my presentation of Hito evaluativo number 3. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope you have a good night or day.